Georgia is now coming off back-to-back national titles, and Michigan is coming off back-to-back college football playoff appearances. Georgia right now is the biggest juggernaut in college football, and you could argue that Michigan is second or third right now. Both the Bulldogs and Wolverines are in a terrific spot, have a ton of talent, and expectations for both of these schools are going to be college football playoff or bust pretty soon. Because of that, both Michigan and Georgia decided to schedule very difficult non-conference schedules for 2023. These games will surely test both the Wolverines and the Bulldogs and get them prepared for another college football playoff run. I'm being sarcastic. For being two of the biggest programs in college football, they have a complete joke of a 2023 schedule, more specifically the month of September. It is absolutely awful. If these teams are not a combined 8-0 by the end of September, then both coaches pretty much deserve to be fired. One of my main problems with the current college football playoff format is that a lot of these big-time schools no longer schedule big-time games because they don't want to lose games. In college basketball, it's a much different story. You see some of the biggest brands go up against each other each and every offseason because it prepares them for later on in the season, and they can afford losses. It is not the case in college football, which is why these big-time programs have resorted to playing joke schedules. In today's video, I want to talk about the egregious September schedules of both Georgia and Michigan. I'm going to give my thoughts on these games. We're going to talk about what happened behind the scenes, and then talk about my expectations for both teams next year. But before we get started, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, leave a comment down below, and turn on notifications. So let's first take a look at Michigan's 2023 schedule. Outside of road games against Penn State and Ohio State, the Wolverines have a ridiculously easy schedule. Let's hone in on the month of September. If you remember right to 2022, they played such a joke of a September schedule that for a while, Harbaugh actually was going to allow them to play two different quarterbacks. They had so much room for error that is what happened. This year, they play an equally disturbingly horrible schedule. In week 1, they get to play against East Carolina at home, and while the Pirates did make a bowl game last year, this is an extremely lame way to start the season. In week 2, they get UNLV, who will be under first-year head coach Barry Odom, and this will be another blowout. In week 3, you get one of the worst MAC programs in the country in Bowling Green, and that is the insanely difficult non-con schedule for the Wolverines. They should win all 3 of those games by a combined 150 points, giving Michigan a chance to pad their stats and get off to an easy 3-0 record. After that, they play Rutgers at home, and just like last year, they get an easy Big Ten team to open up the season as they played Maryland last year and get Rutgers this year. Basically, Michigan football will not be worth tuning into until early October, and what a waste. Michigan's one of the biggest brands, has a ton of fun players, and should be ranked really high, yet we get to see them play 4 joke teams to start out the year. It's honestly extremely annoying. Georgia, on the other hand, is not much better. Their schedule is ridiculously easy. They only play 4 total road games in 2023, and their non-conference schedule is just as bad as Michigan's. They get FCS school UT Martin at home in week 1, then get Ball State in week 2, before a matchup with UAB in week 4. While both UAB and Ball State have had some decent seasons over the last few years, these 2 games are both at home, and the talent gap is so ginormous that just like Michigan, if Georgia doesn't win by 150 plus points combined, I'm going to be concerned. The one game that's mixed in there that will be somewhat interesting is the home matchup against South Carolina. While the Gamecocks could have a breakout 2022 season, I'm not really expecting them to go in and compete with Georgia in this game. Last year, while the game was at Williams-Brice, it was a complete meltdown and blowout from the very beginning, so I expect nothing less, and if anything, I think the Gamecocks drop off a little bit next year and get beat badly at home against Georgia. Both Georgia and Michigan have a combined 8 home games to start the season, and the only 2 decently intriguing matchups come against opponents which will be near the bottom of their respective divisions. Yes, originally Georgia was supposed to play Oklahoma in week 2, so I somewhat give them the benefit of the doubt for that, but because of the Sooners joining the SEC, I guess they thought for some reason it'd be a good idea to get rid of the game. If Oklahoma is not in the SEC next year, I don't see any reason why the 2 can't play, but that's just me, and I'm sure there was some sort of contract dispute behind the scenes that caused this. Either way, it's extremely annoying. Georgia, once again, might have the most talent in the country, will have a lot of really fun players to watch, and are coming off back-to-back national championships, yet their schedule is absolutely egregious and just extremely boring. In week 5, Georgia may finally be worth checking into as they go on the road to Auburn, but the Tigers will be under first-year head coach Hugh Freeze, and from there, the only game that'll probably somewhat worth watching is on the road against Tennessee, and if it goes anything like it has in the last few seasons, that'll be a blowout. Basically, besides for Georgia fans, Georgia football won't have any fun games to watch in 2023. They're probably going to chalk through and go 12-0 in that schedule, and we could very well see them repeat again. Michigan's only fun games will more than likely come against Penn State and Ohio State, and it's too early to tell what's going to happen in either of those two matchups. But either way, man, these are some of the biggest brands in the game, yet the schedules are just a complete joke. Every other sport seemingly has a lot more parity and just better scheduling, and at this point it's just getting ridiculous, and ultimately it hurts the people watching the game the most. No fan truly cares about watching them beat up on UT Martin at 8 o'clock on SEC Network, and no one will care about watching Michigan play UNLV on Big Ten Network at noon. It's just kind of embarrassing that both of these schools have such ridiculous schedules, but they'll both be a combined 8-0 going into October, and will have a much better chance of making the playoff, and ultimately the sport has come to just making the playoff or bust, so I can't say I necessarily blame them for having an easy schedule. For example, if Michigan were to schedule a team such as Clemson, USC, or even Alabama, they have a better chance of losing that, and with that loss, it could hold them out of the college football playoff, so I see why. Also, it seems that most schedules are made 5 to 10 years in advance, so I guess you can't really make quick changes. But either way, it's just annoying for the fans. And I definitely want to hear your thoughts if you're a Michigan or Georgia fan. This is no hate on your programs, it's just my personal annoyance with how much of a joke these schedules are. If you're a Michigan or Georgia fan, what do you think of your non-conference schedules? Do you wish you were playing better teams? And what are your current takes on your team for next year? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video. Turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. And check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.